Arsenal news. This news is very meaningful, so please, be patient and prepared to listen to understand it well. Thank you. Let's start. Gary Neville. Nketiah deserves England call-up. He hails the return of Arsenal's invincible spirit but insists Mikel Arteta must retain composure in the title race. Eddie Nketiah flicked home a late winner as Arsenal defeated Man United in a 5-goal thriller to keep their Premier League title tilt in full swing. Gary Neville, it was wave after wave of attack, and it felt like that 20 years ago when you were playing against such a good Arsenal team. Gary Neville speculates we are seeing the Arsenal of 20 years ago, when Arsene Wenger's Invincibles ruled English football, following another seismic result in a pulsating title race. Mikel Arteta saw his Arsenal side re-establish their 5-point cushion at the Premier League summit following a deserved 3-2 win over Manchester United, but insists a successful title tilt will demand almost perfection for the rest of the campaign. The Gunners are now unbeaten in their last 13 Premier League games, their longest unbeaten streak in the competition since going 14 unbeaten in December 2018. "I enjoyed it," Neville said. "I just felt in the last half an hour, Arsenal had more quality. It felt like Arsenal were like they were maybe 20 years ago. When I was a play against them, I used to wish they'd shoot from distance or cross it, but they would play that extra pass to get it into wide positions. They would keep running you into your box. I'd find myself getting deeper, narrower and under pressure. It just felt like the goal was coming. It was just wave after wave of attack, and it felt like that 20 years ago when you were playing against such a good Arsenal team." Arsenal now has 50 points from their opening 19 games and, with 5 of the last 6 champions exceeding 90 points, Arteta knows they have to keep up their electric pace. It is now a time for cool heads. Earlier in January, Arteta would not be drawn on an unsavoury incident at full-time against Tottenham when a cispat between Arsenal goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale and Spurs forward Richarlison ended with a fan kicking Ramsdale before running back into the crowd. Then, he instead stressed the importance of his players keeping their heads during a fiery contest, having seen defender Rob Holding sent off less than half an hour into the defeat at Spurs in May. Arsenal's temperament will be tested during the second half of the campaign, but Neville believes the additions of Gabriel Jesus and Alexander Zinchenko, ironically from Man City, will give Arteta's side the necessary experience to handle the examination. "I don't think managers 20 years ago were as expressive as the ones we see today, like Conte, Klopp, Pep and Arteta," said Neville when asked about the Arsenal manager's touchline theatrics which earned him a caution off referee Anthony Taylor. "Those Arsenal players are going to come under significant pressure in the next 19 games which will require composure, particularly in the last 10 matches. When you're going for a league title, it is going to be pressurized for those players. They'll require not just that passion but they'll also require composure and some calm authority at times. They will need to settle down. They've got players such as Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus who know what it's like, they've been there before. It's really exciting to think about what this Arsenal team can achieve. They need to now go on and prove to us that they can win the title, which is going to be tough. They've still got to play Manchester City twice and they've got them on their shoulders. They're a massive powerhouse, Manchester City and Pep Guardiola. You can imagine them sitting there tonight not being too fazed by this. Pep Guardiola has got the mentality that Sir Alex Ferguson and Kenny Dalglish had. Great managers and great personalities that get a bit chirpy sometimes. They can become very difficult at times when things aren't quite going their way and they're being questioned. I said on Thursday while on commentary for Man City vs Tottenham, that it felt like sometimes these great managers get bored winning the same way. They like to try different things to prove themselves again, which involves redesigning how they see the game. I've seen that with Sir Alex Ferguson and with others. It comes from a good place but they can become quite difficult, cantankerous, and that's where I feel Pep is at this moment. He knows there's a fight on in this second half of the season. I do think City need to have that consistency. Arsenal has 7 who have played every game but City seems to change their back 4 every single week. Sometimes that is through injury but there is a lot of tinkering going on. They're in a proper title race here. They've been in them before and come through but they're well behind here. They could be 8 points behind if Arsenal win the game in hand but they still have to play them twice. The reason I say Arsenal won't win the league is that they've not won it for 20 years and the majority of these players haven't won it yet. They need to prove they can go through the second half of the season that they can win the league. Heading into the weekend, Pep Guardiola had questioned his players' desire after the 4-2 win over Tottenham and said Arsenal will destroy them in the Premier League title race if they continue to play as they are. City responded with a 3-0 victory over Wolves courtesy of a fourth Premier League hat-trick of the season for Erling Haaland, and Neville maintains that he feels Arsenal will ultimately come up short despite the current 5-point advantage. I don't see them going on to win the league. I still think Man City will. I feel City have a special run in them and that a point in the season will come when they'll lose 1 or 2 matches. City will be right on their shoulders and it'll become very difficult for them, but they could win the league. I thought they'd be nowhere near winning the league and I can't believe they're even in the chat. The fact they're in the conversation of winning the league is incredible, so it's not a negative thing for me to say that I think City will win the league, as that's what I thought at the start of the season. I feel City will hunt them down, but they're in with a shout, which is unbelievable for Mikel Arteta, as I was really worried for him at the end of last season. Gary Neville, Nketiah deserves England call-up. Eddie Nketiah has scored 19 goals across his last 26 starts for Arsenal in all competitions, including 13 in his last 13 starts at the Emirates Stadium. An England call-up is due for Eddie Nketiah, added Neville. Gareth Southgate is very good at allowing players to see their U21 career through and not bring them into the first team too early. But Dominic Calvert-Lewin's form isn't there at the moment. Callum Wilson is good, but is he going to be there for the next 4 or 5 years? Harry Kane, we know, is fantastic, but there is a dearth of centre-forwards. Marcus Rashford is playing wide and I think that's where he's going to stay. Erik ten Hag wants him to stay there, so he's got a real opportunity, but at the moment the best thing Nketiah can do is contribute to this Arsenal team and this very special run that they're on and the special season they're having. So, what do you think about the performance of the Gunners and Gar Neville suggested Nketiah call-up? Leave a comment. And please, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button for more Arsenal news and updates. Arsenal, the Gunners. Arsenal is the best club ever.